Northern Norway, 865. The fjords are filled with longships. Vikings are preparing a new campaign against Britain. Thousands of warriors sharpen swords, test linden shields, and forge spearheads. Their world is iron, resin, sails, and faith in Odin. But the impossible bursts into this reality. Deep in the cliffs, an anomaly is detected, a brief time rift. Through it, a group of 24 modern Special Forces soldiers with a limited supply of weapons and equipment finds themselves in the 9th century. The commander realizes their ammunition supply is limited, and the surrounding civilization is one that fights with numbers, fury, and cold steel. According to reconnaissance drones, there are up to 6,000 Vikings in the region divided into jarls. Their tactics include shield walls, rapid boarding, encirclement, and psychological terror. Against them are thermal imaging, night vision sights, communications, and 21st century ballistics. The Special Forces' goal is not to conquer Norway, but to survive and find a way back. But any clash will change history. One shot can transform the local earl into a legend of the wrath of the gods. An experiment begins. Which is stronger, fireteam discipline or 1,000 years of martial tradition? An initial analysis reveals a technological gap. A Viking is armed with a sword weighing approximately 1.2 kilograms, a spear, and a bow with an effective range of up to 60 meters. His armor consists of chainmail, a helmet, and a shield. The average warrior can deliver 2 to 3 blows per second and hold his ground, but is vulnerable to penetration by modern bullets even at long range. The Special Forces have automatic rifles with an effective range of 400+ meters, body armor, thermal imagers, and reconnaissance drones. A single soldier can control a sector equal to 100 Vikings. But there is a weakness: limited ammunition, a lack of supply bases, and a complete dependence on electronics. The commander chooses a strategy of invisible warfare. Avoid a frontal assault, target the leaders, destroy morale, and exploit the night. The Vikings had never seen a weapon without a bowstring and the whistle of its bowstring. For them, it would be magic. But magic backed by the cold calculations of ballistics. Reconnaissance spots Earl Sigurd's detachment, about 200 warriors, advancing toward the coast. The Special Forces decide to conduct a demonstration operation. One short strike without massive bloodshed. A sniper selects the Earl's banner. One shot from 300 meters tears the shaft apart. The Vikings are shocked. No arrow, no spear. They form a shield wall and attack the invisible enemy. The Special Forces shift positions, use silencers, and a drone drops noisemakers. For the Norsemen, these are the voices of spirits. Panic breaks formations more than bullets. But a problem arises: the terrain. The Scandinavian forest is dense and rocky, and communications are unstable. The Vikings know the trails well and begin hunting. Technology offers an advantage, but 9th century men fight their entire lives and don't fear death. After the first losses, the Earls change their behavior. The Vikings no longer launch open attacks. They begin a real hunt for the Special Forces. They post guards on cliff tops, archers patrol the trails, and groups with torches and dogs roam at night. For the 9th century, this is practically professional counterintelligence. The warriors use horns as a communication system. 1 signal for assembly, 2 for alarm, 3 for encirclement. The Special Forces respond asymmetrically. Tripwires, noise traps, and improvised motion sensors are installed at the approaches to the camps. The groups work in threes: a shooter, an observer, and cover. Each firefight lasts no more than 20 seconds, followed by an immediate retreat. Combat statistics become cold mathematics. 1 brief contact means 6 to 8 Vikings lost, but dozens of rounds lost. The problem lies elsewhere. The Northerners are starting to think. They hide their leaders, change routes, and use women and children as human shields to conceal their movements. For the first time, the Special Forces are confronting not just a horde of warriors, but a flexible enemy that adapts faster than any military science could have predicted. The Spetsnaz's main enemy isn't the Vikings, but time and ammunition. A count shows the group has less than 40% of its ammo left. Drone batteries last only a few hours, and medical supplies are limited to a single bag. The Vikings, however, have endless resources: men, wood, iron, and fanatical faith. The commander institutes a strict economy regime. Single-shot fire only, with priority given to commanders, archers, and berserkers. The rest are dispersed by psychological means. Flashbangs, laser designators, and no-kill night raids. The goal is to break their will not to slaughter the tribe. But the effect is twofold. Some Vikings fear the iron spirits, while others, on the contrary, believe that death by the Spetsnaz leads straight to Valhalla. A cult of new warfare is growing in the camps, making the enemy even more dangerous. A reconnaissance drone detects a special unit, Jarl Thorkel's berserkers. 20 warriors without armor, clad in wolfskins, and drenched in combat potions. For the Vikings, they are living terror machines, capable of breaking through any shield wall. The special forces see them differently, as overheated silhouettes on a thermal imaging screen. At 300 meters, legends become ordinary targets. The sniper opens fire single shot. 2 fall instantly, but the others don't slow down. Adrenaline and fury erase fear. At 80 meters, the machine gunners engage. Short bursts break the line, but 3 berserkers nevertheless charge into close combat. Chaos ensues. An axe strikes a Kevlar helmet. A knife slides along the plates of a body armor. Rifle butts act like clubs. For the first time, the special forces understand. At point-blank range, technology doesn't provide absolute superiority. One false step and a 9th century warrior can kill a 21st century fighter. Victory remains with fire, but the price is a shattered helmet and a broken rib for the communications operator. After the berserkers are slain, the Jarls conclude, the enemy cannot be taken with small detachments. Messengers spread across the fjords and a huge army, up to 4,000 men, converges on the coast. Draugrs stand in rows, their shields forming a sea of color. For the first time, the Spetsnaz see before them not a tribe, but a full-fledged army with a logical maneuver. The Vikings form a 3-layered formation. Archers and spearmen in front, a dense shield wall behind them, and a reserve force for outflanking along the cliffs in the rear. This is an almost modern tactic born of the intuition of war. Drones detect signal fires and a system of horns, an ancient analog of a radio network. The Spetsnaz group understands the scale of the threat. Their ammunition will last at most 1 major battle. Any mistake will leave them surrounded. The commander decides not to prepare a defense but to strike at the center, at the Jarl himself and the Draugr assembly area. In the morning, the assault on the plateau where the special forces are hidden begins. Thousands of Vikings advance in waves, shields locked, battle songs thundering over the formation. The front ranks fall under aimed fire, but new ones immediately rise behind them. The psychology of the crowd works better than any armor. The special forces use everything. Drones drop stun charges, snipers knock out standard bearers, machine gunners fire at dense groups. Within 10 minutes, the field in front of the plateau turns into chaos of smoke and screams. However, the torrent does not end. The Vikings drag ladders, try to climb the rocks, and pepper their positions with arrows. For the first time, the battle is unstoppable. The ammunition counter is running low. The commander gives the order to prepare a breakthrough to the coast, where their only chance lies, an ancient stone circle, the source of a temporal anomaly. At night, the special forces launch a desperate maneuver. The group splits into 2 parts, a diversionary fire on the plateau and an attack on the harbor. The goal is to set the Draugrs ablaze and sow chaos. The Vikings aren't expecting an attack from the sea. Their main forces are near the mountains. Drones guide the fighters along narrow paths. In 15 minutes, the tar warehouses are destroyed, the ropes are cut, and several ships are engulfed in flames. The Vikings rush to the shore, their formation crumbling. But a brutal hand-to-hand fight ensues on the pier. Swords against machine guns at a distance of 2 meters. The special forces lose another fighter, but the breakthrough is successful. The Jarl's army loses its fleet, the symbol of their strength. The path to the stone circle is clear, but pursuit is already racing behind. At the stone circle, the anomaly activates again. The remnants of the Spetsnaz group retreat under the cover of the last stores. The Vikings see the enemy dissolve into light and perceive it as a miracle. For them, a new mythology of iron warriors with thunder in their hands begins. From a military perspective, the outcome is paradoxical. The Spetsnaz tactically destroyed hundreds of enemies, disrupted the campaign, and deprived the Jarls of their fleet. But strategically, the Vikings won. They preserved the land, the people, and the faith, and history gained a new legend that will only strengthen their spirit. The experiment demonstrates the main point. Technology provides a monstrous advantage at a distance, but war is determined by logistics, numbers, and the ability of a society to learn. The 9th century turned out to be far more dangerous than any modern doctrine could have predicted. For the Northerners, the encounter with the Spetsnaz was not just a battle, but a worldview revolution. Skalds describe the enemy as faceless men, who see in the dark and kill with lightning without thunder. New rituals emerge in the camps. Shields are painted black to conceal themselves at night, blacksmiths attempt to forge thicker helmets, and archers practice firing volleys at flashes. The Jarls draw practical conclusions. They forbid open formations, order the digging of pits for cover, and increase patrols on the heights. The Vikings practically invent primitive countersniper tactics and dispersal, 1,000 years before textbooks. But fear coexists with curiosity. Shell casings are collected at battlefields as sacred objects, and a broken Spetsnaz helmet becomes a relic. The civilization of the sword encounters the age of gunpowder for the first time and begins to change before our very eyes. Military analysts are modeling a protracted conflict scenario. If the special forces had remained in the 9th century for a month, their ammunition would have been exhausted in 6 or 7 major clashes. Then a war of spoils would have ensued. The use of bows, crossbows, and captured swords. Technological superiority would have vanished within weeks. The Vikings, however, would have received a powerful evolutionary boost. They would have learned camouflage, dispersal, hunting in small groups, and perhaps even attempted to copy elements of their equipment. European history could have followed the path of an early military revolution, 1,000 years before firearms were invented. The main conclusion: special forces are invincible as a tool for lightning-fast operations, but powerless as an army without supplies. And the Vikings proved that human adaptation is sometimes stronger than any electronics. True victory lies not in weapons, but in the ability to learn faster than the enemy.